It's what we call just-in-time productions, this one. You're running around the workshop, putting up some red tape and covering up a particular brand name on some boxes. It's all done now, though. That should be all right. Anyway, cheers to a glorious Sunday morning, actually. Birds are tweeting, sun's out, it's a clear sky. It's just going to get really hot. Anyway. Right, let me just get organised. In the meantime, you might want to tell me if the audio is any good and stuff. Right, come on YouTube, you can do this. Come on, little laptop. There we go. There we go. A live stream. Fantastic. Dum dum dum. Let's see what we've got. Alan Cook. Hiya. Good morning, Alan. First in the workshop. Good job, mate. I think you beat me this morning. Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. What are you up to this morning, Roger? George Bonnie 90. Hello, everybody. Big thumbs up. Cheers, George. George Bonnie, sounds good. Excellent. Hey, Sheldon's back. Audio is good. Sheldon's becoming a regular viewer to the live streams. Have you got nothing better to do on a Sunday morning? It's good to have you around, mate. Killswitch BB. Hey, Andy and crew. How's the team doing? Pretty knackered, to be honest. Pretty knackered. Been a very busy week. As you know, I made it back from the South Island. God, when was it? Saturday, late Saturday afternoon. Had a few days at home, and then the first thing Thursday morning, had to hot-foot it up to Auckland, deliver some ROVs. I had to go right up to a little place called Waipu Cove on the East Coast. About normal without a trailer, about a 2-hour drive. Probably realistically a good 2 hours, 20 minutes. Got to Waipu Cove and then promptly spent about half an hour trying to find the surf club. Now, the surf club, performs an emergency service to those that frequent the beach areas and decide to go swimming with the sharks. You would expect, as all the other surf clubs do have, a sign telling the general public where the surf club is, just in case they may need their services. It looks like Waipu Cove residents haven't yet worked out what signs are all about. And after about half an hour, the GPS kept telling me to go through this campsite. Now, bearing in mind, I had the big trailer on the back, 2 ROVs on it. You've got to be a little bit hesitant about where you go because you may not be able to get out or turn around. So in the end, I caved. Get it? Waipu, Cove. It has got caves. Anyway, I caved and I decided to slowly and tentatively make my way down to the barrier of the entrance to the campsite. And a lady came out. So I said, "Is this the road to the surf club?" And she said, "It is." Oh, okay. I was a bit surprised. I really thought I was in the wrong place. Anyway, she promptly gave me millions of directions to go through the campsite. So I tried to remember those best I could. And then promptly was confronted by about 100 speed bumps. Not just your normal speed bumps. These were ridiculously, really harsh. So it probably took me about another 10 minutes to get to the surf club, and had to go over them extremely slowly because the trailer didn't like it at all. And being a triaxle, it's if you don't go too slow, you get a resonance build up, and by the time you go over the last axle, the whole trailer's completely airborne, so it doesn't do it any good at all. Anyway, I got there, got unloaded, took the vehicle round to the rear of the building where they keep the surf club vehicles and the skis and stuff, and there was nobody there. Now, I'd already rung in advance to organise for someone to be there, but there wasn't anybody there. So I went back to the truck and I made a phone call and said, "Oh, don't panic, she's running late." And I says, "Well, I've got a very long way to go today. I was supposed to be going to I can't pronounce it properly, Tauranga. I'm sure Sheldon will put us right. To drop off a bike and then go home. So it was still a long trip ahead of me. So anyway, put the keys in the glove box, took some photos to prove it had been delivered, and got away. And then the GPS decided to take me a different way south than the way I'd come in. But I thought, well, that's not too bad because, you know, it was sort of a bit of a roundabout route to get there. It took me more on the main roads. So I promptly turned left out of the campsite and followed this really narrow, twisty, windy road for about probably 40 kilometers. Also had to go through another border crossing, both heading north and again on this back road. Had a nice chat with a policeman person. A police officer, they call them now, don't they? Yes, a police officer man person. And then he promptly allowed me to continue after he'd asked me where I was heading next, and he was quite surprised that I was going back into Auckland and then back south and to Tauranga and then to Taupo. But hey, you know. Then I got on the road just north of Warkworth, and they're doing some massive roadworks at a place called Dome Valley. And there was a huge tailback, and I must have lost a good half an hour there. So I actually decided to pull the pin on the Tauranga trip, and I'm going to be doing that on Monday. Drop the bike off on Monday. Won't need to take the trailer, so it's just a quick there and back. It's about an hour and a half drive time each way. So yeah, I have lost a bit of Monday, unfortunately. But if I'd continued on my original plan, I wouldn't have got home till about 2 a.m, and it's too late. It's too much driving. You've got to know when to call it a day, to be honest. Anyway, that was sort of my week. Made it home about 10 p.m. on Friday night. And yesterday, because when I came home, I had 2 ROVs on the trailer, both of them extremely poorly. One of them didn't steer anymore, which was fun getting it on the trailer. And the other one, the brakes, they weren't just binding. They were absolutely locked on solid. And I've fixed both those two problems, did those yesterday. I thought I'll get the variables out of the way first. The steering rack, pinion, bearing on one of them had completely collapsed and pushed the pinion away from the linear teeth, so they weren't in mesh anymore. Hence no steering. So I had a steering rack to rebuild. Fortunately, I had a spare brand new pinion and bearing and seal in stock. I always try and carry one of those. So I had what I needed to do the rebuild. Once I'd given it a good clean up, it wasn't actually too bad inside. I think we caught it just in time, really. I mean, to be fair, they couldn't use it, could they? Now the other one, another common problem with the ROVs, and I did make a video on this a while ago, but it's a hidden video, and you all know why, where the master cylinder, where the circlip is that holds the two pistons in, and when you release the brake, the piston it should rest against that circlip when it comes to a stop, and that means that all your compensating valve and your inlet valve are all, you know, exposed and not blocked. Anyway, as it turns out, full of corrosion. Second one I've seen like this, absolutely full of corrosion, and the piston was basically getting stuck in the bore about 10 mil away from the circlip, which of course, you know, meant that the brakes were being held on when you applied them. So yeah, had to strip that down, and to be perfectly honest, it was too far gone. So again, as pure luck would have it, I had a brand new master cylinder in stock. One I bought about 6 months ago, thinking I might need one of those, and yes, I've used that. So that's also been fitted. Got a heap of calipers to recondition. Mrs. Mechanic spent pretty much all day yesterday cleaning up brake calipers. She's done 6. We've got 2. She's got 2 more to do. So I'll have in total 10 calipers, including the part brake calipers, the handbrake calipers, to rebuild. And that's going to be today's job. And strip the CVT drives off both the units, because they're obviously in for a service as well as repairs. And I've got to have those machines done and ready and loaded for Thursday afternoon, really, so I can leave early Friday morning and get those back up to Auckland. And then I've got a 6-seater ROV to pick up, and then once that goes back, I've then got another 3-seater to pick up. So lots to do. Fabrication job for those footwells. Contacted the laser company, and the guy that does the folding is poorly, So they've been delayed, which I suppose in some ways is a bit of a godsend. It gives me a little bit of a window to try and get all these ROVs serviced up and back, and then I can switch the workshop around and focus on the fabrication side of it. Honestly, too much going on. Oh, and I've got a day job to do, by the way. Yes. Never ends. It just never ends. Hey, what's happened to the comments? You've all stopped. You were just listening to my story, weren't you? Now, Mike Bazansky. Good morning, Mike. And again, thank you very much, matey. I really appreciated your donation the other day, as did Mrs. Mechanic. Very grateful. Gareth Small, good day. Good morning, Gareth. Alan Cook, audio is good. Excellent. Thanks, thanks, Alan. JJ, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, JJ. Great little name. Excellent. Connor K, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Connor. Welcome aboard, sir. Gareth Small, watching from South Africa. Wow. I don't think we get that many viewers from South Africa. I do get a few emails and messages, Facebook messagey things and stuff, asking for assistance over there. I think they must do a lot more repairs than they do replacing parts, but hey, I don't mind. Try and help them out. Mike Adams, howdy all. Sorry I'm late, Mike. Don't worry about it, mate. I was very close to being late this morning. I'm in the same boat you're in as far as being busy and not of me to get all of it. Hang on a minute. Busy and not of me to get to all of it. I have to get it all done. I have also booked my annual leave. I've taken a month off work. Yes. Can't wait. That's going to kick off, I think it's 18th of December is my last day. And I don't go back until almost the end of January. Last week in January or something, I don't know. Whatever it is. So obviously that's been booked for the trip, the bike trip. Don't know if it's going to happen or not. That's in the hands of the, whoever's in charge at the time. We'll wait and see, but everything's going to get prepped, ready to go. And then if we get the all clear, we'll do the run. If we don't, then, well, we've got plenty of stuff to be doing back at home anyway. So we'll wait and see. Looking forward to the trip though. I really am. It'd be nice to get back on a bike. Machine NZ. Morning, Andy and crew. Where is it then? Have you made a space? Well, it's actually, in fact, I can turn you around. Bear with me, because it is just behind the camera. So let's do a 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. There we go. There it is. Look. In fact, I'm going to unclip the power supply. There we are. Look. The milling machine. What a piece of kit. Sheldon's there going, should never have sold it. Should never have sold it. Should never have sold it. Well, you did. And it's here now. And I really appreciate the fact that you sold it to me. Look at that. Nice. And it's made by Benning, if I pronounce that right. It's Benning. And that's made in Taiwan. And I've done a little bit of research, not a lot. And they say it's actually quite a good machine. One thing I did notice, and this isn't a complaint, it's just an observation, Sheldon. If you look across the top of the tube, it's got quite a, if you can see it on camera or not, it's a bit of a rugged cut. It's not perpendicular to the tube. And you can see there's a bit of a rough line here as well. And it looks to me like it's being cut down. I don't know why you would do that unless you were limited for space, but very strange. Never seen anyone do that before to a milling machine. But there you go, look at that. What a piece of kit. So the disadvantage now, the problem now is, and as you can see, it's very much in the way, because Mrs. Mechanic normally sits on this side of the bench when she's doing the calipers, and she's done lots of calipers over the years now. Well, she can't sit there anymore. And it's also, don't forget, very heavy. Now, I did notice down here, it's already got some holes for mounting it to the concrete floor. I do have somewhere some steel casters with a single bolt mount. So I think for the interim, it's going to get jacked up and get some casters put on it. And then I've got to, at least then I can move it around, because it's very much in the way at the moment. I don't know where it's going to go, to be perfectly honest. The workshop's pretty full. one option would be, and I don't use it very often, and now we've got the carport, I might put the tyre machine under the carport. Now, I know it's a bit of sacrilege because it will get, I suppose it'll start to rust a bit under there, but it would free up a ton of space against this back wall. And then maybe I can move the Tool Girl cabinet down a bit and probably put it where the cabinet is. You know, maybe put the cabinet there, put the milling machine there, or move the roll cab and put the roll cab where the cabinet is. I don't know. We'll work it out. We'll work it out, but it needs to go somewhere. The only other disadvantage is if it's against this wall, it actually sits, its depth is just over a meter from the back of the belt cover to the front pulley. Now, that would mean that when I'm putting all the bikes in the workshop, and it is pretty full in here, it would mean that it's going to protrude into the workshop. And I don't like that because it makes it a lot harder putting bikes in and you lose a lot of floor space. So then the only other option is to put it across the back wall somewhere. And, well, I quite like my little sort of this corner where I keep all my phone chargers and bits and pieces and paperwork and things. So the only other option is over there, but there's already a bench. And I don't know. You can see the problem that I've got. And it's very much an issue at the moment because it's actually quite a big lump. And it's also very heavy, as you already know. Anyway, whilst we're walking around the workshop, let's go and chuck the pie. And yeah, I know it's a wild bean cafe pie, but I've got two, and I don't know which one it is. We'll have to find out. It is, I think that is a steak, a classic steak only. Actually, looking at the little blobs on the top. It might be a mince and cheese, but I think that's just a steak, a classic steak, which we haven't done yet. So we can do this one. We can see how this fares. And I've never had one of these before, so we will have to find out. Look at this. I haven't even sorted the wires out or anything. Okay, pie in pie warmer. Dum 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 dum. I haven't done this for ages. This feels very strange. Now, please don't catch fire. Oh, right. Terrible photography, Mr. Young. Now, I think round about there should be good. Okay, so the pie's in. Honestly, look at the state of my workshop. Yesterday, it was an absolute tip in here. Absolute mess. Anyway. Right, I'm back. It's definitely time for a cigarette now, isn't it? Jeez, I've been extremely patient. So yeah, I don't know where the milling machine's going to live. I mean, it's brilliant that I've got one, and I really, really have been looking out for one for a long time, but never really thought, where could it go? There is another place, and that it could go on the main bench, but the main bench is only about, I think it's about 4 mil plate. It's a bit bouncy, and I don't think it's going to be strong enough it's not going to be a good enough mount for a milling machine, but there is enough height because it's in the middle of the workshop. And if I manage to get the power hacksaw under the right-hand workbench, then at least you can stand sort of in front of it and use it. But I don't know, it's a bit of a compromise. It's not really the ideal place for it. It wants to be on its own stand, and it wants to be on the floor, and it wants to be, and have a bit of space around it as well. Right, so yes, problem that I need to solve. I think it's most likely going to end up on that far wall over there, and the tyre machine's going to end up outside. But it can't go outside at the moment because all Ben's stuff's out there. Yeah, it could be there for a while as well. So I don't know. I just need to put some wheels on it for now, and then it can live over here and just be pushed towards the side door when I'm not using, when I'm working in the workshop. Anyway, I ramble on as always. Just reversing back a little bit. Oh my word. Right. So Machine NZ, hopefully that's answered your question with that one. Very much work in progress. I have plugged it in, I have turned it on, and it does work in both directions. So very, very happy with that. And again, thanks Sheldon. I really appreciate it, mate. And it's come to a good home. JJ, Ari, your milling MC video. Well, I took it off the trailer. Yes, I think you could have made the lift easier by removing the head off the column. I could. It's really heavy, and I really didn't want to do that. Somebody said to me on another comment, hey, why didn't you just lift it off the side of the trailer? Well, I did try that and then very quickly realized that the trailer is only a fraction lower than the bed in the ute anyway, and the Kubota didn't have the reach, didn't have the height. The bucket wouldn't go high enough to perform the action. So I had to put the digger back on the trailer and then reverse down the ramps, as you saw. It was sort of the only way to do it, and it did it just fine, actually. I was just a bit concerned about going down the ramps because those ramps are already aluminum ramps, and I don't know what the weight rating is. I do have a set of steel ramps, which are actually on the small trailer, which are rated for 3.5 ton. And one day I will get round to swapping them around and putting the aluminium ramps on the little trailer. But to be fair, for 99% of what I do, the aluminium ramps are absolutely fine. And I use the big trailer a lot more than the little trailer. So it's one of those things, isn't it? Anyway, so they'll probably stay on the big trailer, and we know the digger goes up without them breaking, so we're all right. Now, thanks, JJ. Jim K. Hello, Andy. Good morning, Jim. We had a good chat the other day. Thank you for that. Alexandra Fritas. Where's your wife? Where's Mrs. Mechanic? Well, Mrs. Mechanic has got a massive migraine this morning. So she's in the house with her sunglasses on, just trying to recover because she's got a lot of work to do today. I'm not a slave driver by any means, but I have a deadline. And we really need to crack on with these ROVs. There's a lot to get done. Pete, hi Andy and crew. Sorry I'm late. Pete, don't worry about it. I'm often late. Now, Simon Rawle. Simon, friend. Simon knows what I'm talking about. I clicked the button. Now, good morning, Simon, and welcome back, matey. Pete, what pie do we have today? Well, I think it's just a steak pie. It's a classic, what Wild Bean Cafe call a classic steak pie. It's more their sort of budget range. It's not the gourmet stuff that I normally have. It's a classic. But hey, you know, the last classic steak and cheese was actually pretty good. So, and I needed a pie for today, and just with all the restrictions in Auckland, there's just hardly anything to buy up there. It's just a palaver, and I was on a mission. So it was late at night, and it solved the problem of pie for Sunday. What? Is that the height for dwarves? What are you on about, Simon? Mike Adams. I suggest getting some of those lifting swivel casters if you can get some heavy duty enough. Yeah, so once you've moved it, then you can actually lower it down onto its feet so it doesn't move around. But will it move around? I mean, I can get some locking casters. I think it'd be all right. I mean, it doesn't move side to side. It doesn't have any sort of reciprocal action. It's just got the rotary action from the chuck. But it should be all right. We'll wait and see. Time will tell. Sheldon. Here we go. Look. Here we go. You got the top hat piece. Weird that it might have been shortened. What top hat piece? What are we on about? Oh, there's some stuff in a box. Maybe. I'll have a look. Yes, there is. That little cap. Little round cap. Yes, I've got that. That needs to go on. Correct. It's still in the box with all the other stuff. Yeah. Weird that it might have been shortened. I mean, you'd think if that was original, that, you know, being an engineering company and all that, they'd actually cut it square. It does. But there again, you know, I mean, the uppy downy linear gear on the side does still finish below it, and that doesn't look like it's been shortened. So maybe that's how it is. Andreas Voigt, maybe. How is the proposit to this video? How is the proposit to this video? Don't understand. Try again, Andreas. Mike Adams. Lol. Simon. Cheers. Sheldon. You might have to... Now, because Sheldon, you're swearing at me here. I might have to block you. You might have to sell it and make some dollars on it. No, it's not getting sold. That is a tool for life. Once a machine like that comes into the workshop, it never leaves. I'm very privileged to have that as part of my machinery arsenal now. Besides, what do they call it? You know, when you get a painting and it has a history to it. That's got a history, you know. It used to be Sheldon's. It's cool. Simon, can the mill not lose its stand and go on the bench next to the welder? Well, it could. It could go. Well, it sort of could. I'd have to lose the light or move the light fitting because there's not enough height there. But how do I get to my toolbox? And I like that little corner. And I use that bench a lot. And I used to film from that bench all the time in the other workshop. That bench is strong enough, but the casters aren't. It would crush the casters if I put them on there. So more problems. And I like that. I need that bench because it's got a little vise on it. If anything, it would, because it's the same height either side, if anything, it would go on that other bench. But then I need to lose the light. I'll change the way the light is. I don't know. Work in progress. Confusion reigns. And to be fair, I only want to move it once. I don't want to keep moving it around because it's way too heavy. And in all honesty, I have no idea how I'd even get it on the bench. It would probably involve the bike hoist, actually. That might give me some lift. Jeez. Dangerous. I read that as, okay, Cheem's Potions. I've got a 1974 Yamaha RD200. Are you proud of me? Extremely proud. Look after it. They're worth a fortune these days. Keep it in good condition for sure. Hey, Corey's in the workshop. SLA Auto Repair. Sorry I'm late. Can we start over? Funny guy. You've not missed the pie review yet, Corey, though. That's we've still got about another 15 minutes of warming to go. Beos. Hi from Greece. Hello, Greece, and welcome to my workshop. It's Sunday morning here. It's probably Saturday night over there, maybe. It'd be time to go out clubbing, probably, in Greece. There's a lot of clubs in Greece. Good stuff. Anyway, cheers. So, I managed to get the two ROVs that I managed to get the one ROV that I'd undersealed back up to Auckland the other day when I went. And there's still some more to do. So in the background, I've been in contact with 3M for quite some time, 3M New Zealand. Very nice chap, Peter, who's the rep there. And I said, hey, I'm going to need some more. And normally it's like, yeah, no problem. We'll leave it for you to pick up. And they didn't have any. Not due till January, which is no good to me. So I set Mrs. Mechanic on, ringing around a few auto body shops that sell that kind of stuff, the suppliers. And she very quickly was just getting, no, we haven't got any. So she rang Peter back, and Peter said, well, actually, everybody's got it on back order. Nobody's got any. Nobody has any. You can't have any. And this is the first time that I'd experienced this problem. And it really just highlights the issues that New Zealand are having at the moment on supply of goods in general, especially within the automotive industry. Peter did have a rummage around at head office, and he did manage to find off the books 4 cans, which is enough to do about a third of an ROV, just over a third. 4 cans. These are pretty old. You can see all the rust on the lid. So I've got 4 of these, which will do for touch-ups on the ones that I'm servicing. But basically, all stop. He has offered an alternative, but he hasn't come back to let me know when I can have it, or if he has any. It's grey, not black, which is a bit of an issue, but it's not the end of the world. It's still under seal, and it'll still work. And that's the way things are in this world at the moment. You have to make do. So watch this space. There might be 2 ROVs going to the surf clubs with grey under seal on them. There might. I just need to get them done. I have to get them done before I go start my holidays. In actual fact, the vehicles need to be delivered before I start my holidays. So there's still a lot of work to do. Oh my word, right. Friday night. It's Friday night. Really? It's Friday night in Greece. It's Sunday here. How can that work? You can't be that far behind. But there again, you must know what day it is. Cheese potions. Are they actually worth a fortune? They're worth a fair chunk of money if they're in good nick. I got it for $900 because I simply needed the cheapest transportation I could find. So it's been my daily rider as a commute to college. Brilliant. What a machine to ride to college every day. Ben has a TDR 250, which is obviously a lot newer machine. It'll be about an 85? No, 87. About an 87, I think it is. It's a blue and yellow one. It has a black and yellow one as well, but that's in bits. Those things here in New Zealand have gone up astronomically in value. The last one that sold on Trade Me, which is a bit like eBay, went for 10,000 New Zealand dollars. It was in pretty damn good condition. I also came across one in Dunedin, or Dunedin, as I call it, about 2 weeks ago, which was immaculate, absolutely pristine, like it had just come out of a crate. It was going to go into a motorcycle museum's collection that a guy's starting, which I was very, very pleased to hear about. That the fact that somebody has identified the TDR 250 as being worthy of being part of a motorcycle collection. It was the very first ever production supermotard type motorcycle. And I think they're fantastic. And over in Europe, there was actually a whole race series dedicated to the TDRs. Fun fact, awesome machines. A lot of the ones in the UK have rusted away on the frames, unfortunately, but you can still get them out of Europe. I don't know what the price is in Europe for them at the moment, but there's a lot less rust on them. But from what Ben was telling me, they're a 230cc, so they're slightly smaller bore, I think, on those. Whether it's the bore or the stroke that changed, I've no idea. But anyway, they had a lot of them in France and Spain, so if you want one, that's probably a good place to go. Now then, here we go. Mike Adams, the milling machine for you, I'm guessing, is like the 2-ton hydraulic press I have in my shop. Most of the time, it's in the way and collecting dust, but invaluable when I need it. Absolutely. I mean, it's great to have one. I'm really looking forward to using it. What I'm going to use it for, I have no idea at the moment. I don't really have many jobs that require a milling machine, but I've wanted one for a long time. And I think what I'll find is, now that I've got one, I will sort of find jobs for it. Oh, I could do that on the mill. That'll be easier. And I'll start to use it for, said jobs, and it'll just get a bit more work year on year. But it's fun and it's a cool machine. And I wanted one for a long time, and now I've got one thanks to Sheldon. Cheems, but will happily give it some TLC if that's the case. Yes, please get it tidied up, look after it, try and keep it as genuine as you possibly can, and it will be worth a fair chunk. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a spinny wheel of death on my stream on the laptop. Oh, we're back. Okay. Pete, are they going to free you people anytime soon from COVID? I really don't know what the plans are at the moment for New Zealand. They're just trying to roll out the vaccine as quickly as they possibly can. They're launching some kind of traffic light system. I mean, there's a lot of confusion now because of all the different levels and sub-levels and things. I think they've forgotten that they're dealing with the general public here. Things need to be really clear and easy to understand. From what I understand, the traffic light thing is that if the whole of New Zealand achieves, and they've divided it into areas, if the whole of New Zealand achieves 90% vaccination of people that have had the first and the second vaccine, so basically only 10% remaining, then the country gets the green light, and then I think the restrictions then get lifted, and things like music events and just big outdoor events and stuff can go ahead, and there's quite a few of those being planned for early next year, rhythm and vines and that kind of stuff. But some areas I think have already achieved that or are very close to achieving it, but from a countrywide perspective, they've still got a fair way to go. But I don't know, things can change. I'm not worried about it too much. I just need to get done what I need to get done, and Very fortunately, I do have a travel document. I've got a permit that allows me to travel around New Zealand, provided I get regular tests. And I'll have to have another test done tomorrow morning. And it's not nice, to be honest. Simon, Saturday in the UK. So how can it be Friday night? I don't know. It's Greece. I don't know. Igors, it is Saturday in Europe, even in Greece. Yes, Igors. I think maybe he's got the day wrong. Maybe he's already been out clubbing. Who knows? Richard Perry, hi Andy and crew. Good morning, Richard. Good job, mate. Good job. Welcome aboard. Michael, it's Friday every day in Greece. Good answer. Bloody good answer. Okay, we're not far off with the pie. It hasn't caught fire yet. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes still to go. Just enough time for another cigarette. Look, I'm running low. I've only got, oh, you can't see. I've only got one left, look. Where is he? There he is. I've sent Mrs. Mechanic to get some more. Woohoo. Oh, my word. I've got so much to get done. Both of these two ROVs are actually a lot older than the surf clubs normally keep them for. It's usually 3 years and then they get rid of them and get a new one. One of them, by the looks of it, is about 4.5 years old, and the other one is about 3, I would say about 3 3/4 years old. The third year of the ownership, and I've noticed because I do a lot of the servicing, as you well know, the third year is by far the most expensive year for maintenance and servicing. They tend to have a lot more problems related to corrosion and stuff in that third year. Despite all the underseal, there's only so much that can do, and that's protect the chassis. When I pulled the steering rack out of the first one yesterday, I went in to check the cooling fan, and it was absolutely sea solid, so it needs a new cooling fan as well. Another thing I've got to try and source. Yes, I've got one on order, but it's on back order. I don't know when it's going to turn up, so I'll have to go for a plan B on that one. Fortunately, a few years ago, I did make a video on fitting an aftermarket fan from a company called Repco we have here in New Zealand. Part number EFX1012K, if anybody's interested. You've got to take the motor out of the Repco kit and fit that into the cowl and use the fan blades from the original cooling fan, the assembly. And the wiring is set up to make you fail. The Repco fan has a blue and a black wire, and the ROV has a blue and a black wire in the loom. However, blue does not go to blue. Blue goes to black and black goes to blue. Otherwise, your fan will spin the wrong way. Fun fact. And a few techs have made that mistake. But it's in my video. So if you watch the video, you'll know what to do. I keep telling them that. So I've got to try and pick one of those up tomorrow when I go to Taronga. Maybe it's Taronga. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. Now then. Oh, going back. Oh my word, there's loads. Pete, maybe he's still partying since. Maybe it's still his Friday. That's right. He hasn't slept since Friday. Igors, in Latvia, COVID attacks people from only from only from 8 o'clock in the evening till 5 in the morning. That's why we must sit at home. Can't do anything done on my bikes after work. That's funny. So you have a curfew. Right. Kill switch BB. Maybe he's smoking something he shouldn't, lol. Possibly. You could be right there. Simon, it's Friday in Greece. Yimas. Mike Adams, the good thing now that you have a lathe and a milling machine, when you get more practice with it, you can buy metal stock to make your own parts that are now hard or impossible to get. I've got a lot of learning to do on a mill. I certainly have. I've only ever used one once. It's a long time ago. I think I was 15 years old. I would have been at Bootham School in York, and the metalwork department has long since been shut down, unfortunately. It got shut down even when I was there doing my A-levels. And I made something. I can't even remember what I made on it, but I did use the milling machine for something. It was only a little tiny job, but it was cool. I liked it, and I've got one now. How many years later? Jeez, 30 odd years later. Nearly 35 years later. Wow. But yes, looking forward to using it, as anybody would that just bought themselves a milling machine, to be honest. Mike Adams, again, you might even be doing that more often than you plan on. Possibly. You're quite right there. Who knows what the future has to hold. Oh, pie's about ready. We're just going to give it a minute or two to sit, and then we'll do the pieology survey. Yeah, you could be right. I mean, it really is. We're already in the thick of it now, and it's come on really quick. We had the warnings for a long time that parts are going to dry up, and they are very, very quickly now starting to dry up. The answer is just no. We don't know when we're going to get that in. You can't have it. And no, we're not taking back orders. We just don't know. So you've just got to come up with a plan B. You've got to work your way around it. You've got to think of a cunning plan to get the machine fixed, if at all possible. I mean, I had to get a new front knuckle joint for an ROV the other week, one that had been crashed. It's a very popular ROV that I was working on, and we didn't have any here in New Zealand. There weren't any in the US. There just weren't any in the world other than 2 in Australia. 2 in Australia, 2 in the whole world. And I managed to get one of them. I had to twist somebody's arm to get it, but it arrived and I got the vehicle fixed. But if I get another one in with the same problem, I'd have to repair the old knuckle. And I've kept the old knuckle just in case I need to do that, because the old one might be in slightly better nick than the one that's going to break next time around. So yeah, you just got to just be a bit savvy about stuff nowadays. Definitely going to separate the fitters from the true mechanics and engineers. I mean, Sheldon, you'll do really well out of this because you're a very clever chap at making things work and making up parts. Now, where are we? Pete, I hope Mrs. Mechanic will get well soon. My wife gets them for days sometimes. It's weird. It really is. Just every now and again, she gets a really, really bad headache. She calls them a migraine. I've never had a migraine, so I don't know how bad they are, but it doesn't do her any good at all. But I'm sure she'll bounce back. But thank you for that. Simon, maybe an update for the mill, a digital readout, DRO systems. That would be cool. I'd like to have one of those in the lathe, to be honest, because I've forever spent my entire life measuring something. Because I don't even go by the dials. I just don't trust them. So I'm always on the verniers, check. And things take a lot longer to make because of that. One day, maybe when I retire and I have time, I can do that kind of stuff. Sheldon, trouble is, Mike Adams, even raw material is getting hard to get here in New Zealand. It is, and the price of raw material, especially steel and timber, has gone through the roof. It's just horrendous now. Now then, where are we? So you're right, Sheldon. It doesn't matter. Every single step, every way that you look, you try to solve a problem. There's always additional problems to deal with, and delays, and costs. Kill switch. Ding! Everyone starts singing the pie song. 1, 2, 3. Pie. I'm not singing that. JJ, Mike Adams, yeah, Andy will get the 3D printer bug next. I'd really, really, really like a 3D, not 3D, sorry, a CNC plasma cutter. A bit like what Colin Furs has got. That would be really cool, but it's big. It's a big tabley thing, and it'd have to go on the bench. You'd have to sit at the back of the bench. I'd have to get rid of the air compressor. But that air compressor is probably going to live under the carport eventually. Once I get some doors put on the carport for security, it can live out there. That'll be fine, and I get my bench back. So if I ever get one, and they're about 20,000 New Zealand dollars from the research that I've done for a decent one, I really would like one of those. And I would be able to produce a lot more stuff in-house then and save a bit of money, which would be good, which means it's making profit, and I like that. But it's a big investment, and at the moment, it's not going to happen because things are a little bit unsure. You know, we don't really know how things are going to go. So you've got to be very careful on your spending, and I've just bought a digger, and I've just bought a lot of accessories for it. So my coffers are completely dry at the moment. Yes, but no, 3D printer bug. I do like the idea for when you're doing projects and stuff, you can make little boxes for relays and things like that, and brackets and things out of the plasticky stuff. But I'm more a metal kind of a guy. I remember at school when they shut down the metal workshop, they changed it, and the course, the replacement course, was some kind of something material, modern materials or something it was called, and basically it was just plastic, and kids were just using plastic, and they were learning how to fold it and how to drill it without cracking it, and that was about it. It just didn't appeal to me. I like metal, I like steel, I like copper, I like bronze, I like all that kind of stuff, and making things like that, bushes. I remember years ago, I used to have a Suzuki Beamish 250, extremely rare motorcycle now, probably worth a fortune, but it's long since gone. And it was in the winter, and Dad used to take us up into a forest, and there was a lot of ice and stuff around. I thought, oh, I know what I need to do. I'll make a studded tire like they use on the ice. So I stood in front of the lathe at school, and it was a Boxford like mine, and I made 87 individual studs. They were basically just a cone with an M6 thread behind them, and they stood probably, from memory, probably about 25 mil. And the base diameter was probably just standard bright steel stock. It was probably about 16 mil from memory. And then I used a worn out block pattern tire and drilled every other square, every other tread, and then mounted them all on. And it was lethal. I've got a picture of it somewhere. I was trying to dig it out, but it was absolutely lethal. And just purely the flywheel effect as well was just tremendous. Imagine if you fell off and that tire caught your leg. It would just tear you to shreds. So I only had it on for a couple of days, but man, that bike went anywhere and everywhere. It had so much grip, it was ridiculous. But it was also ridiculously dangerous. So my dad said, you got to take that off. That's not good, son. Yes, it works. Well done. Take it off. So I did. But yeah, things you make with a lathe. It's crazy, isn't it? Just reversing back a little bit. What we got? Dum 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 dum. Pete, this is a wake-up call to make many people think in our own countries instead of living for China. We've all basically just started to import a ton of stuff from China because it's cheaper, usually poorer quality. Usually it's classed as a disposable item. It's not there to last forever. It just solves a problem there and then, and it's cheap. But you're absolutely right. We've sort of become addicted to that, and the consequence is that our local industries have suffered because of it. And hopefully, maybe, there's going to have to be some kind of reversal. We need to be more self-sufficient, make our own stuff. I mean, it's very difficult with vehicles for New Zealand because we don't have an automotive industry here, really. We just import all our cars, and they don't have the skill set anymore to design their own vehicles. So they're going to have to keep bringing them in. That's just the way it's going to be. But the downside of that is we're at the beck and call of the supply chain and the manufacturers. JJ, plenty of DIY videos on CNC machine building online. Ooh, could I build one? I don't know. I don't think I'm clever enough to build one of those. I might have to just buy one. I have to save up. I need to make more money. Service more ROVs. That's what I need to do. I really don't. Muller Volker, you can build a plasma table for much cheaper, less than $1,000. Wow. Just a cheap pilot torch, plasma cutter, and some motors. I must admit, the price tag's appealing. It really is. Michael Moran, what type of digger did you buy? It's a little Kubota 3150. So it's about 33 horsepower or 31 horsepower or something, I don't know. It's not a full-size tractor. It's about a half-size tractor. It's got a front bucket on it, which is a 4-in-1, and it's got a backhoe on it as well. And I've recently purchased an auger that goes on the backhoe, so I can drill post holes, which would be really, really good. I can put posts everywhere then without having to dig them manually, which would be nice. That's the one bit I really don't like doing. Manual labor, it's not good for me anymore. And a set of pallet forks for the front, so I can move pallets around. I can start to palletize stuff, stack it up, and move it around very easily, which should help a little bit with the storage problem at the moment. because I'm forever moving stuff around. It's a ball ache. So yes, I do like it. It's really good. It's got a bit of an oil leak at the back, a hydraulic oil leak at the rear, but that's going to get fixed. It hasn't ruptured a pipe or anything. It's one of the fittings that's leaking. But the dealer that sold me it has said, no problem, we will fix that for you. It shouldn't be leaking oil. So I don't use it too much at the moment because I haven't got any spare hydraulic oil, and of course if it's dripping out, the level is dropping. So it's just being used at the moment when I need to use it, and it's going to be going back up to the dealer for all these other bits and pieces to be fitted and all the plumbing to be done for the auger, because we need to put another spool valve on there and another hydraulic feed to rotate the auger in both directions as well. So it's pie time. Thank you, Pete. I was just about to say that. Right, let's go and get the pie. Okay, 3. Oh my word, I've got a message in the wrong place. Get rid of that. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Pie time. Oh, CB750. I know I've got all the parts. I just don't have the time at the moment. Okay. I'm getting hungry. Try and do the camera work properly for you. Oh, it didn't catch fire. That's nice. Oi, nearly. Oh my God. There we are. Keep the rats out. Oh, get off. Right. Dum 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 dum. Pie time. Ooh, it looks really good, doesn't it? Look at that. It's pretty good. The lid looks really good. And, oh, golden brown base, no cracks. Good job, Wild Bean. Okay. So, what do you think to that? These are about $4.50 or something like that. They're not over expensive. They're a little bit smaller than the gourmet ones. But I think it's survived really well, actually. Yes, good job. Okay, without further ado, let's start the survey. I'm going in. Oh, quite hot. Nice. So, I think I'm right. I think it is a steak pie. No cheese, just steak. A bit more healthy. Now, somebody sent me a message. Who was it? Let's have a look. Oh, Mrs. Mechanic. Okay. She sent me a video. Not one of those videos. I'll have to watch that later. Right, we'll clear all that off. I get lots and lots of messages on the YouTube channel now. It's great. But I don't have time to reply to them all, unfortunately. So, nice crispy pastry. Really good. The first bite hasn't really caused any carnage to the integrity of the pie, which is nice. A little bit of pastry falling off, but not a lot. It's sort of tolerable at the moment. That would be on your lap or on your seat if you were driving. Hi, my. Look at that. Wow. That was hot. Cold coffee, that'll cool it down. So, first one is taste stroke flavor. Get rid of the phone. Taste stroke flavor. What's it like? It's nice. It's my kind of pie. And we all have our own personal tastes. I just like the way that the Wild Bean do their pies. I mean, it's a little bit crumbly on the pastry, but we'll come to that bit in a minute. I need to dig a bit deeper to get to the real meat. I've had a lot of pastry so far. That's pretty good. The chunks of meat are not particularly big, but they're definitely there. Ooh, what have we got there? There's some movement, look, some settling going on. You can see how bloody hot it is, look. She's steaming. Nice. Okay, taste stroke flavor. I would say Geez, come on, pen. I would say I'll give it a 7. It's not as nice as the gourmet. Obviously, it hasn't got the cheese in it, but it's not supposed to have cheese in it. I would say a 7 for that. So we'll stick that down there. Now, structure struck Foley partners. Well, we're probably about a quarter of the way into the pie at the moment, and it's really holding its own. There's no real structural cracks going on from what I can see. Maybe a little one just starting down here, but it's pretty close to the next bite. And the lid hasn't buckled up. It's remained completely glued down, which is fantastic. It's what you want from a pie. And the underside it's not gone all soggy. It's still got a bit of strength to it. So you know, my thumb's not really deflecting it very much at all. Wow. In the ashtray. Good shot. Okay, we're going in again. So this time, structure Foley partners. I think it's doing really well, actually. We've got a little bit of a flap developing on the lid. I'd have to watch that. I don't want to lose that and end up on the floor of the car. But pretty good. Can you get any better, really? I would say we're going to give that a 9. That's really good. I like that. Now, runnability. It is very, very hot, and we know from previous experience when pies are extremely hot, the contents are a lot more fluid. So this could work against it, and it's maybe my fault. Maybe I've cooked it for too long. So 45-degree angle. Is anything going to run out? Can we see any movement? Busy on the phone, talking to a mate, not watching the pie. No, look at that, rock steady. Good job. That's really good, actually. Really good. I'm sure I can see a bit of cheese in there. What the hell's there going on there? Okay. Runnability, 10. It's really, really good. You couldn't get any better than that. Meat quality. Now, like I said earlier on, the chunks of meat are a lot smaller than you find in the gourmet pies. You can see a couple of chunks just on the lip. Just there, look, trying to keep it in focus for you. But the quality, the taste, it's good. It's good. It's not quite as nice as the gourmet pies, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. We've not had any gristle yet. Gristle will pull the score down tremendously. So, meat quality, I'm going to give it a 7. I'll give it a 7. It's not as good as like your Lake Farm pie, and it's nowhere near as good as the Toad Hall pie. The Toad Hall pie was absolutely amazing. And I'll definitely have another one of theirs when I go down. We might even do another review, actually, just for the hell of it. Right, going in again. So, pie to crust ratio. This is the contents. So contents to crust ratio. I'm just going to pull that lid back up again, so we get a better view. Now, obviously, it's a smaller pie, so you're going to get less contents. Now, it's a very well structured pie, as we know already. We've got some pretty serious thick pastry down each side. The base is relatively thin, and the lid isn't over thick either, but the sides are extremely strong. There's a big surface contact area between the lid and the main case of the pie. So that comes at a price. It reduces the contents. I'm going to give it, I'm thinking a 7, but maybe a 6. There was a lot of air gaps in there as well. I'm going to give it a 6. We'll give it a 6. Okay, availability logistics. Well, oh, there's a spider just landed. Stay over there, mate. These are only available through the BP Wild Bean cafes. That's the only place you can get them. But there's a lot of Wild Bean BP cafes around the country. I should know. I've been to nearly all of them now. So you can't buy them online. You can't buy them in your supermarket. When you do buy them, they're ready to eat. That's an important factor. So, and they're always on the main roads. So you're always traveling past one, and you can get it when you get fuel. Ready to eat as well. 7 or an 8? What do you think? Difficult one, isn't it? I think a 7. We'll give them a 7. It should really be exactly the same score as I've given the other Wild Bean Cafe ones, but I can't remember what I gave them. Very difficult. There's a lot of variables in these things now. A lot of information, a lot of data to process. Pastry taste rating. Well, we're going to pull a big chunk of pastry off the side. Oh, there we are. Look to camera. I need to camera. There we go. And what we're looking for here is any kind of weird aftertaste. It's nice and crunchy. It's not particularly gooey, which is good. It's nice. It's just Wild Bean Cafe pastry. It's good. It's as good as the gourmet one. I like that. No aftertaste, no weird aftertaste at all. Nice and crunchy, tasty. It had its own taste. It wasn't relying on the meat for taste. I'm going to give them an 8 for that. Now, it says still tasty when cold. Well, there's no hope in hell's chance I can score that yet because it's still pretty damn hot. Packaging design. Right, well, okay. Standard Wild Bean Cafe bag. Did they spend a lot of time designing it? I don't think they did. Probably about 10 minutes on Photoshop would be enough to do that. So, what do you reckon? They haven't made a box for it, but it's a takeaway pie, so why would they? What did we give the last ones? 6? I think it was about a 6, wasn't it? From memory. So 6 for design. Is it recyclable? Well, it is. It's just paper. It's a paper bag. Does it have the recyclable emblem on it? I can't remember. Honestly, we've done so many of these now. So, no, it hasn't got the symbol on it, but it does say on the back, just there, look, it says, please dispose of the bag thoughtfully and recycle where possible. So it does indicate it's recyclable, and it asks you to put it somewhere in a bin, which is okay. I think we'll give them a 9. Post-pie heartburn factor. Well, I've had a lot of Wild Bean Cafe pies over the years, and I say a lot, I mean a lot, way too many. And don't usually get any kind of heartburn problems from their pies, which is a bit of a relief, to be honest, because sometimes you do. Especially that one at Culverden, man, that was bad. That was after I filmed, that was really bad. So we'll just leave that for a minute. Stuffability score. I need to eat some more pie, don't I? It's good. It's good. And it could be eaten one-handed. You don't need 2 hands for this pie, which is important if you're driving. Oh. The pastry is a little bit crumbly, to be fair. Where would we put that on there? Foley partners. So it might drop to an 8 on the Foley partners because we are getting a lot of breakaway crumbs of pastry going on. Yeah, I'm going to knock that down to an 8. Oh, man, it's a good pie though. It's all right for $4.50. It's not bad, and it's readily available. That's the important thing. Assuming you drive around a lot like I do, it's readily available. If you live in, I don't know, if you live in Bluff, it's not readily available. I don't think there's a BP in Bluff. Roger will tell me. I don't think there is. You'd have to drive to Invercargill, and that's a bit of a trek. So, not that readily available. Nice and crunchy. But again, yeah, the engineering behind a pie is always a compromise. You're never going to get a perfect 10 in every category. It's just not possible. You know, a crunchy pie is always going to have a bit of pastry flake off it. It's just the way it is. Now, pie server attractiveness. We can discuss this right now. Walked into the BP and got greeted. Hi, Andy. "Are you having a coffee?" They knew me by name, which is, it makes you feel very welcome. And I said, "Yes, please. I'll have a large trim latte to take out." And she's not bad looking, to be fair. She works there pretty much every day. I would say sort of late 20s. I'm going to give her a 9. I am. And if she watches this video, she'll know why she's getting a 9. Okay. Right. Going in for is that going to be one more bite? It's pretty big, isn't it? I could do one more. It'll save the crumbs. It's not a bad pie. There wasn't any cheese in it, by the way. It was just a bit of pastry hanging down. A bit of internal gooey pastry. Definitely not as tasty as the gourmet steak and cheese, but it's not a gourmet steak and cheese. It's just a meat pie, a steak pie, and the meat was, yes, much smaller pieces. There was no gristle, which was a nice surprise. You know, some of the cheaper pies tend to have pretty poor quality meat in them, and that was actually still pretty good. And it had nice gravy in it. It was all right, actually. I can go with that. So, stuffability score. Do I feel stuffed? Do I need to eat anything else? I don't, actually. I've had nothing else to eat this morning. That's the only thing I've eaten. And I feel stuffed. I feel good to go for the next 3 or 4 hours, and I've got a lot of calipers to rebuild. So, I need that. I can't afford to stop. So, I'm going to give them... oh, pardon me. 10 would be absolutely stuffed, unable to walk kind of stuffed. I'm not like that. I'm still quite functional for work. So I'm going to give them an 8. I think an 8. 8 is actually a good score. You don't really want a 10 actually for that, do you, to be honest? Now, still tasty when cold. I can answer this right now, even though it wasn't cold. I've eaten lots of Wild Bean Cafe pies that I found in the glove box a few days later, and they always taste really good cold. I've also eaten other pies that I found in the glove box that are made by other people, some of which you have one bite and they are absolutely disgusting. You do not want to continue eating them. It's just, they just go in the bin, to be honest. So, still tasty when cold. I would give them, I think that one, because it hasn't got the cheese, I would give them an 8 for that. Okay, and these are all just my own personal scores, you know. I mean, you guys might score it a bit different the way I score things. So, post-heartburn factor. Well, there's nothing yet. We've had a burp, so you know, we've lost a point for that. But other than that, I feel fine. There's no acid buildup, no nothing like that, so that's good. We'll give them a 9 for that. Good job, Wild Bean. Excellent. Okay, it's time to add up the scores. Here we go. Okay, so you've got to give me a hand with this, because I suppose now and again I'll make a mistake. So we've got 15, 25, oh God, 25, 32, 38, 45, 53, 61, 67, 76, 85, 93, oh my word, 93 plus 9, 102. That's pretty good going, isn't it? Is that right? Did I do that correctly? 15, 25, 32, 38, 45, 53, 61, 67, 76, 85, 93, 102. Wow, 102. That's impressive. Okay, let's go and get one of those thingies out of the cupboard, because I forgot to do it this morning. Time for a wander. Lots of wandering today. What have we got? There we go, look. Dum, 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 dum. Terrible camera work. But that's live TV for you, isn't it? Okay, so this is a Wild Bean Cafe. Classic steak. And it got 100, oh geez, 102. That's a pretty high score, isn't it? Jeez. Wasn't expecting that. But it just goes to show, you know, unless you score things, you don't know. Okay, 102. Oh man, it's only one behind the gourmet steak and cheese. Who would have thought? So it's equal with the Baker's Son steak and cheese. Wow. There we go. Look, that should be just enough room for that one. Fantastic. Look at that. Jeez. Sort of equal second, third place kind of thing. Bloody good. We've got quite a few there, haven't we? When I go to Tauranga tomorrow, I'll try and pick one up from over there. And we might even do just a pie review video in the workshop during the week, which will be quite cool, rather than out on the road. We will see. I quite like doing the pie review videos. I think it's very interesting for New Zealand folk to see what these pies are all about. Cool, right, we'll get rid of that. Bit of coffee. Golly, we're an hour and 10 minutes in. What the hell? Okay, Simon, seen a hole in one of those pallet forks to take off a tow ball. See farmers use them a lot. Looks very handy. Absolutely. I was thinking the other day, actually, as things are at the moment, I can't get the big trailer around and into the front garden through the gate. And it's a bit of a ball ache, because it's always in the way on the driveway, trying to bring things in and out. Whereas, you know, there is a possibility I can put a tow ball maybe even on the front of the tractor, actually, be even better. So I can put the bucket right up in the air and have a tow ball just off the chassis. So I'll have a bracket to make up for that. And then I can hitch the trailer onto the front of the digger. And then it's got a really good turning circle, so I can maybe use that to maneuver the trailer into the front garden. I have done it with a quad bike before. They're also another good way of doing it, but to be fair, it's a pretty heavy trailer, even unladen. It's a pretty heavy trailer to put behind a quad bike. They will do it, but it won't do the centrifugal clutch any good. Now, a good idea, Simon. Igor's Dubrovskis. Use a C-clamp with that pile in the fork, and you can do AK. What are you on about? Use a C-clamp with that. You'll have to redo that, Igor's. I don't get that one. Oh, hang on. You can do almost anything with it. We do it too at work. Oh, hole. You can use a C-clamp with that hole in the fork, and you can do AK. Anyway, okay, didn't really get that. Mike Adams, mowing the yard for the last time for the season whilst I listen in. Well, good to have you around, Mike. John Nuttall, your thoughts, Andy stroke crew. Car starts and runs for 2 to 3 seconds, then shuts down. Starts, runs, 2 to 3 seconds, shuts down. Leave for 10 minutes. It starts and runs as if nothing happened. Suzuki Wagon R. Well, that's really weird, isn't it? So what's going to change if you leave the vehicle parked for 10 minutes after you've tried to start it the first time? Do you leave the ignition turned on, or do you turn the ignition off? Can't be fuel pump, surely. Why would the fuel pump come to life after 10 minutes of being parked? Don't know, to be honest. Suzuki Wagon R, what would cause that? If the ignition was turned on, mind you, if it was a coil, you'd expect it to struggle once it's warmed up. Maybe it's making a connection once it's warmed up. Don't know. People, what do you think? John Nuttall, hit the like button. Why not? Go for it. JJ, John Nuttall, fuel supply issue. Maybe. John Nuttall, thanks. When you first start it, do you turn the ignition on, allow the fuel pump to prime up until it turns off, and then crank, or do you just get in and turn the key straight away? I'm not sure about the whole 10-minute thing, but if the return valve in the pump's leaking, then it won't maintain pressure. But then all you get then is a long crank. Once it's started, it should keep going. Simon, Jonathan, live data fuel trims. Maybe. I don't do that kind of stuff, the fuel trims. Don't have a scanner. John Nuttall, off. Right, so you turn the ignition off. Sheldon, might have to get a wild bean pie to see what all the excitement's about. You might. Next time I'm down, Sheldon, I'll bring you one from Dunedin when I come up. How's that? JJ, fuel pump intermittent. Well, yeah, if it was intermittent though, why would it repeat the same thing every time? You'd expect it maybe it would start properly first time round every now and again, and you could be driving the car and it might cut out while you're driving. So I don't know. I don't think it's fuel pump. Don't think it is, unless maybe there's a lot of sediment in the tank and maybe the filter's just sort of blocked up overnight, and then once you start it a few times, it finally gets a bit of fuel through and starts to build up pressure. I think you need to look at live data, see what's going on. Mike, and out of the blue question I have, which is better for bikes, etc. For power, two strokes all the way. They are far more fun to ride. And you get that sudden power surge when they hit the power band. They're brilliant. Yes, if you can get a two-stroke, especially with a YPVS or some kind of power valve system in them, then great fun to ride. They really are. And the smell of the two-stroke, it's awesome. And which do you prefer for power and maintenance? Well, I mean, if it's a dirt bike, a two-stroke dirt bike is a lot easier to maintain than a four-stroke. A lot of the four-stroke bikes now, especially the high-performance four-stroke motocross bikes, they require a lot of maintenance, and it's expensive. You know, replacement cam chains, cam chain tensioners. You're forever doing valve clearances on them, and everything's more money, and it takes a lot longer to do. A two-stroke, you can pull the top end down, chuck a new piston and rings in it, and away you go again. They just work, don't they? Simon, the fuel trims, engine temp sensor, and MAF data can tell you a lot. There you go. Thanks, Simon. JJ, yes, a two-stroke running on Castrol R. Friend of mine used to put some Castrol R, and it was a four-stroke lawnmower. You'll laugh at this. He used to put some Castrol R in with the petrol. Not because the engine needed it. It clearly didn't. It was just the smell when he was mowing the lawn. What a bloke. I remember that from when I was a child. So we've got one cigarette left. We're at 1 hour and 18 minutes in. I really have to stop at an hour and a half. I know I say that every single time, and some days we run into way over 2 hours. I haven't really got a lot more to show you today. I haven't really shown you very much at all today, to be honest. Not been that organised. I must apologise about that. And I've not really had any deliveries either. Everything just seems to have dried up. And I don't need any more parts. I've got all the parts for the CB750. I just need time to get it finished. And that's not going to happen for a few more weeks. I've got all the parts I need now for Holly's bike. I just need time to get it finished. Although I have ordered, there's one more piece to the radio puzzle, the mag mount to go on the ute. That is now in Tauranga, where I'm going tomorrow. So I'm picking that up tomorrow. And then I've just got to look at the Senna equipment. The Senna stuff is sort of the headset stuff for in the helmet. And I think the most likely solution is I will just buy a helmet that's already got it all built in. And I'm told that I need to change a plug where the Senna base unit connects to the radio, the CB radio. I need to put a different plug on there, but I've no idea what it is yet. So a bit more research required. I'm sure Mike at Mobile Systems, who supplied the CB radios, he'll be able to help me with that. He's a good bloke, actually. He's been very helpful. Come back, Steve Scott. Yes. Yeah, where is he? I did see the odd post recently from Steve. I don't think he's been doing too well recently. So, Steve, if you are watching this, you know, we all want you to get better soon, mate. We do. We want to see you back in action, doing what you do best. But make sure you get yourself, you know, proper well. And, you know, we all wish you a speedy recovery. Fingers crossed, mate. Just flick me a line when you get a chance, just to let me know you're okay. Simon, funny fact, classic bikes are exempt from clean air zone charges in the UK. Bit extra two-stroke smoke, in for good measure. Absolutely. I must admit, I used to really enjoy riding the TDR 250. You know, when it came up on song, the plumes of blue smoke out the back was just absolutely awesome. You could overtake a car, you know, someone that's been annoying you, one of these nasty car drivers, they've been annoying you for a bit, dithering around, and you'd pull in front, and then you'd just give it full beans, and you'd just cover their entire car in two-stroke smoke. It was so satisfying. It was just brilliant, and you just did it for the sheer hell of it, because, you know, it put a smile on your face. That doesn't happen anymore. We've lost that. We have. I mean, all these really cool things that we used to do as kids are all just disappearing away and no longer acceptable. I don't believe in that. Steve Robb, listening out in the shop, buddy. Good morning, Steve. Great to have you on board, matey. Steve gave me an awful lot of assistance when I first started the channel. I remember when I put out the thumbnails, I used the same picture for every video that went out and just changed the text. And he was absolutely right. He said to me, Andy, your thumbnail's so important. It needs to depict what's going on in the video and what the video is about and that kind of stuff. And he really got me thinking about the thumbnails. And I still think I'm probably one of the very few YouTubers that do it, where I actually put a little bit in the corner, like a symbol, to try and categorize what the video covers, whether it's fuel injection or an engine or a gearbox or whatever it is. And obviously a photo usually derived from somewhere within the video. Sometimes I take separate thumbnails just to keep the quality good. But no, Steve, your assistance, your guidance so early on in the start of the channel was absolutely invaluable. And you gave me a lot of confidence to keep doing it as well. So thank you very much for that. Steve is a great guy. He does lots of videos himself. And yeah, a real asset to the YouTube family. So thanks, Steve. And yes, I'll give you a big thumbs up too. There you go. You may not see it because you're only listening, but there you go. Big thumbs up for you. Sheldon, Jawa Speedway Bikes, Castrol. Ah, delicious. You see, we all speak the same language. It's great. JJ, FYI, I started riding on a Fizzy FS1E, then progressed to an RD125, then an RD200, and then 2 RD400s. Mate, you're living the dream. Absolute classic bikes. I'm a big fan of the RD350s and 250s. I remember buying a 250 from Tang Hall in York for £100. Now the bike was completely in bits. Some of you may have heard this story before, but it was completely in bits, just in boxes, bare frame. Took it all home, and it came with a gasket set and bits and pieces for it. Had Micron exhausts, and I put it all together over 3 days. And by the weekend, I was riding that bike on the road. Absolutely flat out, actually. I was racing my friend in his what was it? A Golf GTI. And we were pretty much neck and neck, apart from he could go a little bit quicker around the corners. In actual fact, he went a little bit too quick around one of the corners a couple of days later, and he hit a tree. Now, fortunately, he wasn't injured. He was all right, but the car was completely written off. And when I was chasing him down on the bike, he was really sending that Golf on. He was pushing it really hard on those corners, and I was backing off. I'm like, nah, I'm not going around this quick, mate. I value my life way too much. And as it turned out, he did overcook it one day. And not far after that, only a couple of days later, and he was in hospital, getting checked out. It's not good, so got to be safe. Matt was his name. Nice lad. Good friend of mine. Lives in England still. Pete, in the US, the Air Board make life suck with smog checks. No more two-strokes. If you get a dirt bike, you can only ride in the winter only. What? You can only ride in the winter on a two-stroke? In the countryside, in the middle of nowhere? That's ridiculous. Honestly, it's just gone way overboard now. I mean, does that apply to your strimmers and your weed eaters and stuff and your lawnmowers? Can you only cut the lawn in the winter? Doesn't make any sense. Silly people. Simon, cool things as kids. Bonfire night in the UK. Don't see a lot of big bonnies now. When we were young, the bonfires were the size of a small house. The biggest bonfire I have ever seen was the one at the Brass Monkey in the South Island that I went to earlier this year. It was absolutely massive. It wasn't just a round bonfire, it was a long bonfire. It must have been at least 50 meters in length. And the base of it would have been about a good 10 meters deep. And it absolutely stood, probably not as high as the roof on a two-story house, but certainly 2 stories high. It was a massive bonfire. The lads had done a tremendous job, and a lot of waste engine oil and diesel went onto that fire to get it going. And it was still burning 3 months later. That's how big that bonfire was. It was monstrous. And when it got going, sort of by about 10 p.m, the queue for the beer tent ran down the side parallel to the bonfire. And the bonfire was on our left while we were queuing for the beers. And there was a band playing on the right, obviously with a crowd of people around it. And the queue for the beer tent kept migrating further and further away from the bonfire because the radiant heat was just monstrous. You were just, even though it was raining, you were sweating buckets. It was just way too hot to get anywhere near it. There were some people in the full motorcycle leathers would try and get really close to the fire, and you'd see all the steam coming off the leathers because they were damp. And then obviously the leathers would slowly heat up, but they wouldn't inside, and then all of a sudden they felt the heat from the leathers and they'd go running off screaming because the leathers retain the heat for ages, and they'd probably get boiled alive further down the paddock. But it was hilarious to watch. The things people do. Crazy. Especially when they've had a few beers. You know, look, I'm fireproof. I can stand right next to the bonfire at, I don't know, 500 degrees C or whatever it was, 1,000 degrees C. No, you can't, mate. You're going to catch fire. Luckily, nobody tried it wearing what do you call it, the synthetic biking gear, because it would have just melted on them. Pete, they want to get rid of all the gas tools, only battery equipment. What, really? That's stupid. Pete, in California's just completely messed up. It really is. It's way over the top. JJ, too dangerous in New Zealand, Australia now. 1 spark and 1,000 hectares goes up over here in these days. It does. I mean, it is the height of summertime. It's just tinder dry, isn't it? It's as dodgy can be. And all the 4-strokes have to have spark arresters on them now as well. They're getting really keen on that on the trail rides and stuff. John, not all Manchester is to be a clean air zone. Largest zone in the UK. Cameras are going up now. Oh, really? I'm pleased I'm not in England. There's so many things that are just going wrong, aren't they? It's not the same place as it used to be. 2-strokes. They're fun to ride. You can't outlaw them. And I mean, really, in the big picture, the old classic 2-strokes, do they really make that much difference? There's not many of them around anymore. You know, I'm sure there's much bigger things, much sectors of the polluting market that they can look at. Well, I'm just preparing myself now for rebuilding lots of calipers. It's going to be a long day. And strip some CVT drives as well. Mrs. Mechanic's got those to clean up, so I can get them put back in, probably tomorrow night after work. We'll get there. We'll get those 2 ROVs done for Friday. We have to do. Otherwise, it's all going to fall apart. Anyway, crew, I think we're about there. Look at that, 1 hour, 29 minutes and 50 seconds. Wow, I must have known. So, we've done another live stream. This has been going on for well over a year now. Probably about 18 months. Feels like it. I'm really chuffed that we do these live streams, and I will continue to do them. They're not going to go away. And I would like to thank all of you for joining yet again and putting up with my dribble. There's been some really good comments come through. Sorry I didn't know the answer to your car not starting and running from get-go. But I think you need more information to diagnose that. So if you look at live data, that'll help. Okay, crew. Well, until next time, until next Sunday. Will there be any videos going out this week? Highly unlikely. It all depends how quickly I can get these ROVs done. If I end up with a spare afternoon, then we're going to get the Myford finally stripped, and there'll be a video on that. Okay, crew. Well, until next time, take care, and thanks again for joining. See you around, guys. Cheers. Over and out.